to Mark's
Red Rum.
Murder
Red Rum.
Mystery
Red Rum.
Monday.
Oh, man. The scream at the end really does establish the mood. It's Courtney, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, Courtney. You'll be joining us tonight for the,
Yes, I'll be there.
the virtual meet and greet.
Yeah.
What do you have for us today?
Today, I have a story about Linda Slaten, who was a mother who was killed. What's interesting about this story is they've been re-airing some of the specials around this particular murder. And so it's somewhat bubbled up in news articles in the last week. So I thought I would cover this.
Linda, Jeffrey, and Timothy Slaten are seen in this picture.
Yes, actually, but I don't have that up on my
Oh, you don't?
StreamYard. Yeah.
Oh.
I can't see anything.
Well, that's okay. I mean, you can see it here maybe in the studio or
Right.
If you want to move
Perfect.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Linda Slaten was a young mother, 31, of two boys. She is found murdered in her home in Lakeside, Florida.
And how was she?
She was strangled and sexually assaulted.
Oh, my God.
I know.
This is why I'm not into this stuff. All right.
And she's found by her sister, who had come over to have coffee with her. And the case goes cold. But what is interesting is that they find out who the murderer is 40 years later, and the murderer was within the community circle.
Oh, my God.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is Linda. This is her son, Jeffrey, the somewhat taller young boy with the dark hair. And then Timothy has the blonde hair. So if you go to the next slide, she was a very devoted mother. She didn't have a lot of money, so she didn't have a car. The two boys were very active. Timothy played football, and Jeffrey was active in sports as well. And she had divorced their father because their father had been abusive. And so she moved to this new home in Florida, and she'd only been at this place for about 2 to 3 weeks. Now, a lot of stories talk about an apartment, but a lot of the photos they show is a house. So I don't know if it was like a complex that she lived in, but effectively on September 3rd of 1981, Timothy is driven home by the assistant football coach, and Jeffrey's at home with his mom, and Jeffrey and his mom get in a fight. And so Jeffrey leaves, and Linda's there, and she goes to a party with Timothy, and she comes back.
And Jeffrey's 13?
Jeffrey's 15, Timothy is 12, and Linda is 31.
Okay.
And so Jeffrey
He's in a fight. He left.
He's in a fight. He's angry. He leaves.
The other kid and
his mom go to a party.
Okay.
They all come home. That's September 3rd, 1981. On September 4th, Linda's sister comes over to have coffee and discovers the body when she sees that the screen of Linda's bedroom window is gone. And so she looks inside and realizes that her sister has been killed. If you go to the next slide. Sorry, it's easier for me if I can see this and go through all these visuals.
Can you see it?
So this is inside of the house, and that back door toward on the right-hand side, if anyone's looking at this or anyone watching this, that is Linda's bedroom. So the sister calls the police come. If you go to the next visual, so they take a sexual assault kit. There was actually sperm still there, so they recovered that and they kept it. But at that time, they didn't have any sort of DNA testing or anything that had related to that in sort of the criminal field. So they kept that. If you go to the next slide, there was an investigator, Sergeant Edgar Pickett, and he actually recovered a palm print from the windowsill of Linda's bedroom. Now, Linda had been she had been choked by a hanger that had come from her closet. And again, as I mentioned, she had been sexually assaulted. So it seemed like a crime of opportunity, but also that someone somewhat knew where her place was, where she slept, saw that opportunity with the window open. But Edgar Pickett was really important in finding this palm print, because that's ultimately, in large part, how they found the criminal. Yeah.
So I'll stop for any questions here, but did you want to go to the next visual?
Yeah. So
next visual, please, Albert.
What's important is that Timothy was really close with his assistant football coach.
When you said assistant football coach, I knew that's the guy. That you know,
Exactly. Yeah.
I was going to go ex-husband or
I know.
assistant football coach.
So the ex-husband, gave up had different interviews, gave up his DNA, but it didn't end up being him. Yeah. So this is actually a photo that Timothy put up in his room. And Timothy is all the way on the left-hand side. And then Coach Joe is actually just behind him. And so they take the DNA.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
No, they take the DNA from the crime scene. They have they connect it through genealogy research and genetic research, find the family, and then they end up confirming that it's Joe, Coach Joe. Joe Mills is his name. And also they find a palm print that was taken of Joe Mills in 1984 when he was arrested for grand larceny.
Wow.
And then they match that palm print that I showed you earlier from
That's
Edgar
unreal.
Prickett.
Wow. That's how about that detective work?
Windowsill. Yeah.
So wait a minute. So the thing went down in 1982. When did they actually apprehend him?
1981, it went down. He was arrested in 2019.
Wow.
Yes. So here's the palm print from 1984 when he was arrested. He forged some sort of will and ultimately didn't go to jail, but was arrested, and his palm print was taken then. And then if you go to the next slide, so the next visual, the cops were surveilling him, took his trash to try to recoup a more recent DNA sample in 2019. And so that happened over the summer. And then December 12th, 2019, he was arrested. When he was arrested, he didn't even ask why he was being arrested, by the way. Yeah.
He knew. You guys got me.
Yeah.
But boy, he got away with it for a long
time. He was married. He still lived in Lakeland, Florida.
That's just sickening, isn't it?
Yeah. And actually, if they had pursued him further in 1981, because they did sort of like a cursory interview of anybody that had been near the house or the kids or the family, they would have discovered him as being a more a greater potential suspect in the case. Yeah.
So it was really, honestly, and I hate to put it this way, but kind of shoddy police work, or at least not intensely respectable police work initially, but then ultimately incredible police work and amazing dogged follow-up police work that actually apprehended him.
Yes.
That's really wild.
Yes, here he is apprehended. This is Joseph Clinton Mills. You're right. I mean, it was a case that this Florida Community Police group sought after, continued to try to find and discover who this suspect was. And so it was really their commitment to it. And the two young boys, now obviously adult men, constantly checked in on the police and their pursuit of the suspect. And so actually in 2018, when the Golden State Killer was found through genealogy testing and mapping, that really started the use of that in sort of contemporary cold cases, and that in part reinvigorated this case.
Unreal. So this story ends as well as it could under the circumstances, right?
I think so.
With the apprehension of the guy who did it.
Under the circumstances. I mean, obviously this guy going free for 40 years.
Well, that's why I said, I mean, you're right. Under the circumstances of him going free for 40 years. Yeah, okay, you're right.
It's
wow,
it's
this
a really
is very, very
case.
good stuff. Well, Courtney, another fascinating tale of the long arm of the law.
Yes.
Reaching out, maybe a little delayed in the reach, but...
Yes, no, I mean, it's a really interesting case because Coach Joe continued to drive Timothy to football practice.
That's just sick.
Even after Timothy and Jeffrey were living with their grandparents. And he would ask Timothy about the case and how close they were with suspects. And Timothy had that photo on his wall, even as an adult, because Coach Joe played such a pivotal role as a father figure because he was not close to his own father.
Wow.
So the depth to the deception of that relationship and the ongoing sort of connectivity that happened through his teenage years and you know,
Well,
childhood years.
now I'd
yeah.
like to revise my statement. I don't think it was the best.
I mean,
now that you've told me this stuff, it's pretty
he's-
twisted that they had a relationship with this guy who had killed their mother and they didn't realize it.
No, they didn't realize it. He's serving 3 life terms. So he, Joseph Conrad Wills will die, or Clinton, sorry, Wills will die in prison.
He should have started those 3 life terms, what, 38 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway.
But yeah,
All
now he's serving. So
Courtney, we'll see you tonight.
oh,
Thank you.
thanks. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Another sad tale,
Yes.
troubling tale, but then
Yes.
in the end, they got their man.
Yeah.
All right.
He's getting what he deserves.
That's Mark's Murder Mystery Monday for
Thank
today.
you.
Thank you, Courtney.
Mark's Murder Mystery Monday on The Mark Thompson Show.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.